So my dear friends, today we have some major Star Wars news we need to talk about, but I want to start with a very fun little tidbit. If you've been paying attention to some of the Marvel news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con, then you will know Harrison Ford is confirmed to Hulk out in next year's Captain America Brave New World. So why am I bringing this up? I'm Star Wars Meg, not Marvel Meg. Well, I'll tell you why. When he was questioned about Marvel lore and how he feels about the concept of anchor beings in the MCU and Universe 616, he was baffled and couldn't care less.
616? I'm in Universe 616?
You're in Universe 616.
Yeah, I'm out of my orbit.
He's a gem. And why I bring this up is because at least he's as consistent as he was with Star Wars in terms of not caring about the universe he's playing in. He's hilarious. And he's going to be at D23 next week. And speaking of which, my dear friends, since my last video where we speculated on what might be announced at Disney D23 next week, StarWars.com have posted an official schedule on what we can expect. It looks surprisingly loaded for a Lucasfilm panel, and they promise exclusive announcements and a look into upcoming movies and shows, so this could be a big one. We're going to go through the main reveals, but there is one specific section that seems worded in a very deliberate way. If you read between the lines, I think they might be setting us up for a second season of The Acolyte. Personally, my dear friends, based on the performance of this show, the price tag being ridiculous, low viewership, fan reception, I can't see them doing this. But what I'm saying is, it's an announcement we might get that looks more likely this week than it did last, based on what StarWars.com say. Not confirmed, but just a bit of speculation for what we might get between August 9th and August 11th. So here's what they said. Let's start with the Friday. Quite a lot going on. At the Lucasfilm booth, there is an ILM stagecraft experience, a look at the upcoming LEGO special, and a really adorable Nubs meet and greet. Young Jedi Adventures recently got a second season. But then between 7 PM and 9 PM on Friday night, and this is US Pacific time, we've got Disney Entertainment Showcase. But earlier in the article they do specify Lucasfilm does have a presence at this panel. And here's the quote. And while we can't wait to report back on everything we learn at the Disney Entertainment Showcase, where there is sure to be a segment devoted to forthcoming Lucasfilm titles, there is so much to see and do on the show floor before and after the panel event. So we are probably going to get that teaser trailer for Skeleton Crew, maybe a first look at Andor Season 2, and maybe some of the upcoming films. I recommend you go and check out my previous video for more information on this. And now we come on to Saturday, and this is pretty major. Like I said, pay attention to the wording. At 4 PM, at the Lucasfilm booth, a look back at Star Wars The Acolyte with Manny Jacinto. So we're thinking, okay, this is just a retrospective, just a Q&A with Manny. But here's what they say. Join The Acolyte's Manny Jacinto as he reflects on the first season of the series and reveals new insights on The Stranger. So I reckon the majority of this is going to be his experience on the first season. But they do word it the first season, so do they have an announcement in the pipeline? Is this the place they're going to do it? Maybe at the end of this panel they're going to bring on Leslie Headland, or maybe Manny himself is going to announce a second season. Like I say guys, I don't think this is necessarily going to happen per se. This might just be a retrospective, but as Making Star Wars put it, there's more of a chance of the Rian Johnson trilogy than the Acolyte Season 2. But Lucasfilm has been unpredictable, so I can't say with certainty one way or another. There are questions about the role of Darth Plagueis if this does happen. Like I said, Frank Oz is going to be there, so Yoda himself, and he's going to play a massive role in the future of this story, so you never know. And just a side note, Frank is there to be inducted as a Disney legend alongside Harrison and John Williams. But you never know if he's going to be involved as Yoda again. And then on Sunday, August 11th, a conversation with Lucasfilm Animation. That's right, my dear friends, we might get our first announcement for the next full-length animated show. Athena Portillo, the Vice President of Animation Production at Lucasfilm, and Vanessa Marshall, who of course is the voice of Hera Syndulla in Rebels and The Bad Batch, reflect on their favourite moments. And again, this could be setting up what comes next. Is it another clone show? Is it what we speculated concerning Asajj Ventress? Is it an Omega joining the Rebellion kind of series? So potentially some massive announcements to come. So I think there's going to be a lot to talk about and a lot to break down. I will be covering it as the news drops And so make sure, my dear friends, that you are subscribed by hitting the big button down below. And also be sure to give the bell a good old tickle so you never miss an upload. But no more jibber jabber, let's move on. So those are the highlights from the schedule for the upcoming D23 event, and I think the most contentious one is the Acolyte second season. There has been a push on social media to #renew the Acolyte, but also a lot of pushback. And we do have some more Nielsen statistics, and it seems like the Acolyte once again has dropped out of the top 10. Viewership consistently seeing a decline. But I don't want to sound like a broken record, we've said this for nearly every episode, but the data is still coming out. I'm going to be curious when they release the data for the final episode, episode 8. But for the so-called best episode of the show, as some fans like to call it, episode 5, that one didn't do as well as the metrics of fan engagement online seems to suggest. The way fans talk about things on social media and the sheer number of people talking about it clearly does not always translate to viewership on the Disney Plus platform, especially those who weren't watching the show but wanted to learn what it was about, whether that's following channels like myself or simply reading up about it on Twitter. My favourite reaction to this news comes from a long-term friend of the channel and supporter of the channel, and she writes, "Oh, and I swear if they do a somehow Yord, Jackie and or Sol survived next season because they didn't realise the fanbase would make entire clubs based on each character, I'll lose my freaking mind." I agree. I don't think Yord or Jackie should be back. I didn't understand why Yord in particular was a very popular character. If they did survive, I think that'd be a very silly creative choice. And my view is that if they do want to do a second season, please have someone other than Leslie Headland write the thing. If they do want to continue the trajectory of this show, it does need a tidy up. It needs a lot more care, someone who really wants to tell a compelling story. You guys know I felt season 1 was pretty much all over the place, but maybe there's potential if they do get different people to work on it. I think you guys know what I want from D23. I'm gonna say it. Book of Boba Fett season 2. It's never gonna happen. I know it's never gonna happen. But I will say this. If there was ever a time we needed Tem to come out, gloriously bless us with a haka, and them to confirm that maybe he's back in the Mandalorian and Grogu, D23 is the place to do it. We need hope. One project I don't necessarily expect to hear from is Lando, which as we know, is no longer going to be a series but instead a movie by the Glover brothers. But Justin Simeon, the showrunner of what was going to be the Disney Plus series, recently sat down with Collider to express his grief over the abandoned project, saying that Star Wars and Lucasfilm never sat down to tell him. He couldn't wait to make this project, he was so enthusiastic, and he was devastated. And the assumption from fans is that there was no work done on it, but he confirms there was a story, there was what he calls a Bible, there was concept art, and there were scripts, but it just wasn't meant to be. I feel really bad for him. I'm gonna say there's a pretty good chance the movie also gets scrapped, in line with Bob Iger's philosophy of quality over quantity. But I digress. Please share your thoughts on everything we spoke about in the comments down below. Did you have a good time? I hope you did. If so, let me know. Please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, do all of that good stuff. Why not check out our Patreon, the link is down below, and I'll catch you in the next video. May the Force be with you, now and always.